This is the Didlake Difference, the show all about creating and promoting opportunities for people with disabilities. Each episode will bring you expert insights and relatable topics that ignite meaningful conversations and inspire change within our communities.
Today, I spoke with Paul Gravley, CEO of Didlake. Since joining the organization in October 2023, Paul has been driving its mission forward, enriching the lives of people with disabilities through purposeful leadership and vision. Welcome to the Didlake Difference podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah.
Before I get started, we're really excited to have you on because we're going to get to talk about so many amazing things with Didlake,
Right.
How the organization has evolved as we're on the 60th year anniversary.
Yeah, 60 years.
Yeah. But before we start with that, I wanted to acknowledge that this studio would not have been possible without you because it was actually your brainchild.
Well,
So,
I mean, maybe. Thank you. And I believe Didlake has an incredible story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, 60 years of that leading up to today and going on into the future, whatever the future looks like 60 years down the road. And kind of the medium of the day is a podcast. And so I wanted to make sure that we were able to tell our story.
Yeah.
And you've done that already with some of the folks that work at Didlake. I know that there are other stories with folks that are involved in our day in, day out programs that we, the job coaching that we do and the federal contracts and state contracts that we have. And so all of that is, I want to share that story.
Yeah.
And this is one good way to do that. And then, and I might have had a inkling to do it, but it's people like you and Cedric and Iris and Alex and others that really put in a lot of work and manpower to make that happen. And then, James giving you the green light and Valerie giving you the green light to make sure it happens too. So,
Right.
All of that it's a team effort. I can't take credit for it by
Yes.
any stretch of the imagination.
But what I refer to there is that you have a very visionary mind, right? Like you're a visionary. And so my question is, how has that sort of mindset framed your role as CEO, maybe not even just starting at Didlake, but before as well?
Yeah, sure. So I do seem to think in the big picture. I ask big picture questions like, how do we make the world better? What does the world look like tomorrow that we can work on today so that it's better tomorrow? And I've done that in a myriad of ways with child abuse prevention or working with people with disabilities or in the arts and the education. And now coming to Didlake to really take a hard look at how do we make a world, starting with our local community, right here in Manassas, and then expanding that to Northern Virginia, and then nationally, and then how do we really share the stories of folks that transform their communities because they are the real light that makes the community go. And so, I don't know how much of a visionary I am necessarily, but I do think in big pictures.
Yeah.
I do think about, what could things look like, and then have incredible people around to help put together the building blocks to make sure that those things can happen. Right. And so in Didlake's case, it's my sincere hope that everybody, no matter what their ability is, no matter how their brain fires, no matter how they move, no matter how they speak, that they feel empowered to make their own decisions and to live the fullest life possible. And so there's some systematic things that we can do with that. And then there's some really day-to-day tasks that we can do to make that happen. And so I'm excited Didlake's a part of that, and I can stand on some really broad shoulders, going back 60 years to the founding of Didlake as a school, and then moving into kind of a workshop environment, and now to a fairly successful federal contractor and state use contractor, in addition to the incredible work we do with rehabilitation services, day support programming, job coaches, pre-et services, project search. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yes.
But it started with an idea, a big picture idea by a number of families 60 years ago that said, hey, our kids aren't getting what we need. and we're going to do something about it.
Right.
And so the story I was told was that they literally put an ad in the newspaper and said, "I've got some. I'm looking for other like-minded families, and we want to start something. Who's in?"
I didn't know that.
And so that's the story is told. So I'm sharing it. I guess it's rumor and conjecture.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that that's how Didlake started by a newspaper ad.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so you're from Texas, right? You're a Texas native. So how from Texas did you end up all the way in Virginia to work at this organization?
Well, you say that it's like so far away.
It is far away,
it's not that far away. You can drive it in, a day and a half. So
yeah, that's true. But you know what? I think it just feels very big, which is why in my head I'm like, oh, it's it's pretty far.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, I grew up in Texas. I'm an 8th generation Texan. So there's actually a Gravley Museum in Carrollton.
No way.
Texas, just on a suburb of Dallas. And the Pearl Perry Gravley Homestead is what they call it. And so I have lots of legacy there. My parents live in Texas. My grandparents have obviously lived there as well. And Texas is, to quote a George Strait song, Texas is a place I dearly love to be. But I am, want to be a part of an organization that has a national commitment, to making a difference. And Didlake is the exact perfect place. And so when I found out that Didlake was open, I threw my name in the hat. And then lots of interviews later, here I am. I'm very thankful to the board for taking a chance on me, because I didn't come from an Ability One federal contractor world, right? I was working in other nonprofit systems and have had to learn kind of the ins and outs of the system. And I think I have a pretty quick study, so I've gotten there pretty quickly. But what is emblematic of the work that I've done kind of throughout my career in Texas throughout to here is, how do we make life better for folks that the barriers may have been put in place for maybe of their own choosing, maybe because of society, but how do we break down those barriers to be able to do that? So those barriers exist in Texas, those barriers exist in Virginia, those barriers, I guess, exist everywhere. And I'm glad to be a part of the work here based in Virginia, but we're regional, and we have a national reach. I just got back from Indianapolis from a conference.
The X-Force conference, right?
Yeah, the X-Force conference. So, all of that is, part of a national network with like-minded organizations trying to do the best that we can for people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so are there any moments that you can recall that have really enforced the importance of Didlake's mission to you?
Oh, there are a number. I have a number of family members that either through military service or through genetics or through car accidents or others things have found themselves in a space of disability. And so I have some personal connections there. The one that comes to mind immediately is my aunt, who is she's incredible. She's, first of all, the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan that you'll ever meet, and she took me to a Dallas Cowboys game when I was young. She accuses me of stealing her French fries still from that day, but she's an absolutely beautiful human being. But she's diagnosed with MS, and so, which is a degenerative condition, and she loved being outdoors. She was a golf course superintendent, did some everything outdoors, but she needed accommodations, and moved into being a 911 operator.
Wow,
and until she just wasn't able to do that anymore because of a variety of things. But someone took a chance on her. In getting accommodations. Now, I'm not saying that they did everything right. I don't know her whole story. I've actually never picked her brain about it, but it's just something that comes to mind as she's very smart, she's very gregarious, and yet she needed some help. Those kinds of things happen all the time. Disability is the only that I can think of, the only condition in which you aren't born into necessarily, right? You might be, right? There might be some genetics involved, but it could very well be a car wreck. It very well could be a IED. As you know, you're traversing a desert trying to figure out if there are any mines in there, and it could be just something that happens biologically.
Yeah.
And so, everybody is a part of the risk, and everybody can also then, I think, through Didlake, be part of the solution to solving those barriers that get created.
Right. I agree with you. I think I'm not sure what the exact statistic is. Maybe you know it, but I know that it's very prevalent in that one in 5 individuals will have or obtain a disability in their lifetime. That might be outdated, but case in point is that there are so many people that are affected with disabilities. And so there has to be a sort of destigmatization behind what disability the word is, and also what people think of when they think of a disability.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like if you go into a room and, 1,000 people and say, how many people know somebody that has a disability? You'll have almost everybody raise their hand. Everybody's connected to somebody. I don't know if that statistic 1 in 5 is right. I don't know. But I do know that my experience is that if you ask a room, that everybody raises their hand. And you're right, that everyone has a different definition that comes up in their brain about like what that means. And we're kind of ingrained to think that that might be somebody that their mobility is in a chair, for example, right? Like you drive up to a parking spot and, we have a sign, kind of a universal sign, don't park here unless you have certain mobility conditions, and they represent that with a wheelchair or a person in a wheelchair. But disability is a word that spans the gamut of any kind of diagnosis. It could be temporary, it could be permanent, it could be mild, it could be severe, it could be affect some parts of you and not other parts of you. And so there are all kinds of the spectrum of disability is vast. And I think you're right. Like demystifying disabilities means that we need to realize that all of us can be impacted and are impacted day in and day out. People want to be people, regardless of, again, how their brain fires or how they get around. And so Didlake is a great place to be an answer to a lot of that, through job coaching, our partnerships with the state, our partnerships with the federal government, our partnerships with other nonprofits, with businesses. All of that requires all of us to do it. And we kind of want to be the hub to help make all that happen.
Yeah. So can you talk me through a little bit more about how Didlake can be that hub for other organizations and individuals? Sure.
So, on the one hand, we do our best to try to be a model employer. All right. We've, I think the number is somewhere around 1,500 employees right now. And most of them have a diagnosis, and because they sit on Ability One contracts, which is tied to a law that was passed in the 30s, and the JWAD Act that was updated in the 70s, and it allows the federal government to buy services and products from organizations that like Didlake through the Ability One program. And so one of the ways that we are a partnership is with the largest buyer of goods and services in the world, and that's the federal government. And we can be a model employer for that. And so when people ask, how do you do it? We can say, well, look, this is how we do it. Now, we're not great at it all the time. We mess it up. Even in our best moments, sometimes it's not enough. And so we have to recalibrate and have a continuous quality improvement mode. But, one of the ways is to share that. So things like the, you had Megan Stubbs on earlier, the Autism Center for Excellence. So she created or helped create what are called business advisory councils. So we have local businesses that come together and ask those same questions. So how can they be better in the work that they do, serving the people that they serve, and to share the work of of making the world more accessible for folks. And we have that in those groups represents everything from a school with young children's, all the way to the aging, to folks like big organizations that employ thousands of people as well. The second way we can be a hub is through our connection point with the state, both in Maryland and in Virginia currently, and also in DC. Again, I'm open to that growing, to that being in other places, but currently in Virginia, DC, and Maryland, and making the right connections, because there are some monies available that the state makes available that Didlake can provide some services for, and oftentimes we can be the folks that help make that match happen. We follow all the right processes, follow all the right check marks, and like anything, there's the bureaucracy that sometimes that it takes to get there.
Yeah.
But so on the people side, we can help navigate that process as well. And then if you don't, if the jobs that Didlake has isn't for you, we can help you find jobs and help you get trained in jobs in other places. And so we have a pretty robust job placement, job coaching. It's not placement necessarily, but there's a place and train, and then there's follow-along services, and a pretty robust system that allows that to happen as well. And so we've got folks with partner businesses such as Westminster or such as Wegmans, and a variety of other places in which people are living their best life, need a little bit of help to get the job done, and we can help provide those job coaching services to do that. So both the people side and the business side. It's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. How people interact with Didlake. We've got our contracting side, right? The B2B or B2G side, but we also have the people side.
Right.
And so we've got our people-centered services, and we've got our business-centered services.
Yeah.
And how do we talk about those in a way that commingle, in a way that really expresses who we are, that we're kind of people to business, people to government, government to people, and all the permutations that might exist from that.
Yeah, I think the thing about Didlake is that there are so many moving parts. And so to some people, we might be known as one thing, and to some people, we might be known as another thing. So it's really important to kind of bridge those pieces together and show how it works as a whole. So that's really valuable.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? So if you ask someone, maybe not me, but you ask someone your favorite movie, right, that they'll share what their favorite movie is, and then you ask and people may even agree on their favorite movie, but then they ask, what's your favorite part in that movie? They might disagree, right? So they have some context in what they understand, but even how they connected to that piece or that movie. For me, it might be books or some TV shows or sports.
Right.
I watch a lot of sports.
No. See, there I cannot relate with you because I do not watch sports at all. No, I've tried and I just can't get into them. I don't know.
It's the only live TV I watch now.
Really?
Yeah. What are you
watching now? I don't even know what season. Is baseball, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's the NBA playoffs.
Right.
So that's going on. But yes, baseball is going on as well.
Okay, well.
But
yeah.
Most of the sports I watch are my kids.
Okay.
So
that's nice. Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have three.
Three kids.
Yeah, 3 boys. I have a junior in high school, so we're trying to figure out all the college stuff. I have a 7th grader, and then I have a 1st grader.
Oh my gosh.
So all 3 of them are wonderful. But when you have 3 boys plus me plus a boy dog, that makes my wife's job very, very tough.
Yeah.
And our house likely smelly, but we're used to it, so we don't get it.
And I'm sure she loves it, so that's all that matters.
She says she does. We tried to treat her well on Mother's Day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Did you guys do anything special for Mother's Day?
Well, we spent the day at the baseball fields, watching our 7-year-old play baseball, and I helped coach that team. But we did the whole breakfast in bed thing and got her a present to a spa, so she can go have some alone time.
Well, I hope she had a lovely Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So going back to what you just said about coaching your child's baseball, what other kind of things are you doing out in the community that you feel tie back into your role and how that kind of helps you? Yeah,
so if we want to share the story of Didlake, right, and share the work that we're doing, and to do that for a purpose and a cause, we've got to let people know, right? If you don't tell your story, somebody else will, and it may be incorrect. It may be filled with, particular issues or missing parts, right? As you pointed out, people connect to it in different ways, and so I see a big part of my job to be the the face of the organization, and so being out in as many places as I can. So getting into good partnerships with local businesses. I do a lot of work right now with the Prince William Chamber of Commerce, but I'm also now in Lead, Virginia, which is cool for me because I don't know anything about Virginia. And so I'm getting to go to all these different places in Virginia to learn. In fact, my first grader came home the other day and said, "Dad, do you know what the state tree of Virginia is?" And I was like, "No, I don't know. Texas, the pecan." Not pecan, by the way, whoever says pecan, but pecan. And he goes, "It's the dogwood." And I said, "Oh, cool. I didn't know that." So I learned something new every day. So going through Lead Virginia, I spent some time in Hampton Roads, which is awesome because that's about a third of our work at Didlake happens on with contracts down in Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Suffolk, those areas as well. Now I'm going to go down to Danville, which is right there at the border of North Carolina. So I actually leave to go to that in a couple of days, and eventually see the Shenandoah area, Richmond, and Northern Virginia. So learn about that. But I see that for me, but also for us to be connected to other leaders and to share in ways that what Didlake does and what they do might overlap. Partnerships with places like George Mason University and places and other government organizations with that in and around the area, and then also how do we continue to position ourselves to share what Didlake is doing. I would love there to be a day where pick your news station, CNBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News, any of them, and they're talking about employment and the economy. And they have their economist on. They always have, right? Like from Georgetown or American or somebody. But then they also need a real world example of how employment can and the unemployment rate can be helped and solved. And they get someone from Didlake on as well. And we can talk about like the real world practices of if you want to solve unemployment, let's start with the group of folks that are the most underemployed statistically. And if we start there and we find out the right accommodations, the right places, the right folks, and then show them the data that if you hire folks with people with disabilities, if you take that disposition, you have journals like the Harvard Business Review and others that have done these case studies that say that you will actually be more profitable. You will spend less money on turnover. Any upfront money that you might have spent on accommodations is made up because of longevity. I mean, all of that goes hand in hand. And so, again, creating these partnerships with other businesses, getting to know other leaders in the community, and then, finding the right research partners to prove, that what we do works is a big part of what I want to do.
Yeah, you're touching on a lot of things that I think many people don't really understand or that they maybe don't know, such as that the cost of accommodations may be made up by the cost of longevity that an individual is working at an organization, right? Things like that are so important to acknowledge. What other barriers do you think that organizations like Didlake face, and how can we overcome those?
Oh man, that's a great question. So the barriers that I'm going to rephrase your question a little bit. So I don't know that's barriers that Didlake faces, but the folks that we want to empower, right? Like the folks that are part of our mission statement and who we are, and we want to be working together with. This is not a at or for or to. It is a with component. We deeply need to be able to show. To take a like R&D phrase, right? We need to show proof of concept. Like here's the real data. Here's the real benefit. And here is an example and another example and another example. And to just prove and prove and prove that what we say is true. And then with the as technology continues to increase, right? Like think about ancient technology, like the wheel, right? That made mobility possible for some folks that wouldn't have it, right? That's ancient technology. And now we've got more modern technology in which, there are ways to, hear, or that maybe help with vision, even, I use technology now with my glasses. If I would take them off, I wouldn't even be able to see you, Erica. So I am, and then whatever that next technology looks like, how artificial intelligence works into this, but using that and harnessing that, whatever technology is available to, and to keep reminding folks that all of us use it. All of us use adaptations. Like we use cars, we use bikes, we use, to get from one place to another, and society has progressed and progressed and progressed by technology. I don't know what's coming next, but I do know that whatever comes next, that will be able to be used for good. And so that's how we help folks understand. I use the word demystify. That sounds very mystic of it, but really just prove that if we want the world to be a better place, we can do that, and that is not incongruent with business objectives. That is incongruent with people having their own freedom and choice and liberty. That is not incongruent with goods and services to be purchased by the federal government. That is not incongruent with any of that. In fact, the opposite is true. Like we save the federal government money, or we are able to create liberty and freedom for folks that didn't have it before. Because in a market economy, how do you show value? You pay people, and then they can buy a home, and then they can pay taxes, and then so all of the immediate benefits and then the tertiary benefits after that are incredibly important to what we show. I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's where I went.
No, yes, it did, because I think we're kind of just leading off of like there are barriers that individuals are facing, whether it's misconceptions, whether it's misinformation, and it's our responsibility and our role to make sure that we are advocating, right? Kind of going back to what Dr. Rachel Payne said in our last episode, advocating for individuals and, using the information that we do have to
and then admitting when we're wrong, right? That's hard to do because I usually think I'm right. So,
Same.
So it's one of those things that believe the data.
Yeah.
And as the data points us in the right place, use that data to make data decisions or data-driven decisions, and kind of set your North Star, go where you need to go, but use data along the way to make it better.
Yeah. And so kind of leading from that question, where do you think that Didlake will go within the next 5 to 10 years? What's your hope?
Oh, man. What is my hope? Well, I think the right answer to that question is that I hope that Didlake isn't needed, right? That society has moved in such a fast pace, in such a way that it is just natural for people to hire people with disabilities. It's just natural for accommodations to be given. It's just natural for people to find community engagement opportunities for folks that the education system really hones in and caters. So I guess that's the magic wand if I had that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what to do for my job, right? I'm not. And everybody else's job, by the way. I'm not looking to close down Didlake anytime soon. But at the same time, I mentioned earlier that we know that the world's changing, or has changed, right? We talk about ancient technologies, fire, wheel, all the way to glasses, and on. The world now is changing dramatically, very, very, very quickly. Yeah. We are able to gather information in much faster ways. I mentioned AI earlier is really now changing at an even faster pace, where we used to double in technology every 100, 150 years. And then that got, in the 90s or so, people would tell us, well, now it's doubling every 5 years. I bet if we were to do a study now that it's doubling in terms of knowledge base, doubling every 3-4 months. And so that's the knowledge. Everyone has access to communication. You've got every platform possible. You've got, your social media platforms. You've got your computers that fit in the palm of your hand. Who knows where they're going to go next, right? Are they going to sit in your glasses? Are they going to, be attached to you somehow? I don't know. All the sci-fi stuff that I watch is flowing in my head right now.
Yeah.
But the all of that makes it hard to sometimes predict, like where we're going to be in 5-6 years. But I believe that Didlake is incredibly well positioned to be a leader in where we want to go. And I think where we want to go is no matter how fast that technology doubles, how fast our knowledge base increases, that we are there as a reminder that there are folks that are so important to the system that A, they ought not be left behind, and B, they ought to be the leaders in the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so that could be technology based for Didlake. Maybe we're looking at getting much more into that tech side. Maybe that's different kinds of partnerships with universities. Maybe that's different kinds of relationships with businesses, both small and big, and creating coaching services for them. Not to let too much cat out of the bag, but Megan is working on things like that, right? And so, and so we want to be a part of the we want to be a part of the movement that makes the world feel like it's in a better place because each person is valued for who they are and for the gifts that they bring and for the excellence that they can provide. And so that's still, I know that's kind of a pie in the sky answer.
Yeah.
But we've got some plans and some things that are really close in the hopper.
Yeah.
About new kinds of jobs, new kinds of connections, new kinds of partnerships, I'm not necessarily ready to throw it all out on a podcast about about what those are, but there are a lot of things in the hopper for us to. Is that a phrase that people use anymore? In the hopper?
I've never heard in the hopper before,
Yeah.
but I'm going to let you run with it.
Maybe that's a Texas thing. I don't know. I told somebody the other day, we're going to go whole hog, and they looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh well."
Yeah, not heard that one either.
Yeah.
But yes, I hear where you're coming from. And I think that it's very important to recognize that. And so kind of positioning Didlake as a thought leader today, now, what advice do you think our organization could give other organizations that are doing things similar to us? How can we all succeed together?
Sure. Yeah, it's not going to be just a Didlake thing, right? It can't be. No organization in the history of the world has been big enough to transform the world in kind of one fell swoop. Like even the biggest of governments, right? I mean, Rome fell, and so our work is going to require partnerships, and it's going to require partnerships with like-minded organizations. Maybe folks that are in the same kind of systems we are, but it's also going to be requiring partners that we haven't even realized we need yet. It's going to require partnerships of other thought leaders in other sectors and other spaces so that they can give their advice and their expertise so that we can all do this together.
Yep.
So that could be, philosophical, that could be technical, that could be kind of boots on the ground work, or could that be, as we kind of ivory tower thought as well. And so I don't know that I have advice to give to anybody except that I welcome every partnership that we can possibly gather. And so if we get anything out of this podcast, like that's what I want, right? Like I want partners to say, hey, this is something that I feel like I could be a part of. Yeah. It could be philanthropic, right? Through the foundation. It could be that they want to give donations. It could be that they want to sponsor our 60th anniversary gala. Like it could be, those kinds of partnerships. It could be B2B partnerships, help us fill certain spots. We know that there are skills that lack just in general, but that people are training in. How can we get people to be trained in those kinds of jobs so that they have good jobs for a long time and are able to build a life for themselves? How can we partner with state, local, and county governments to create better communities, kind of day in and day out, where people live, where people shop, where people hang out, where people play. And those kinds of partnerships I welcome, I want, and I want them, not because I know I'm not smart enough to know most of that. Right? I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not.
Yeah.
And I need people that are able to help us get and to think through the places where our blind spots exist, and we may not even be thinking about how the A connects to B, who connects to C, let alone all the way to Z. And so all those partnerships are going to be incredibly important for us. And so in terms of advice, I don't have much except to maybe be open and let us engage in conversations that, and you might be surprised about what Didlake can offer. But at the same time, we could be pleasantly surprised about what is happening in the community that we didn't even know about. And it could be younger, right? It could be talking about school age. It could be talking about all the way through seniors, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. I think the key takeaway here is just to be open.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's great. Yeah. Thanks. So, Paul, is there anything else that you would like to share for our listeners to hear, to understand, anything that you would like for our listeners to take away from this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I could start with, why the Cowboys have drafted certain players, or I could start with, right? I could start with, how the Mavericks, again, I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so those are my sports teams, like why Luka is no longer a Maverick. Or
somebody help.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, but that's not what you're asking. You're asking, for Didlake. And I think the real answer to this is, and what I want people to know is that Didlake is not only a resource, but we're a partner. And we are committed as an organization to finding new partnerships so that we can find new jobs, so that we can find better jobs, so that we can find better community engagement, so that our job coaching can be better, so that our programming and day support can be better. And so if there's anything that we can find to help make that better, again, I started with that kind of pie in the sky statement. I want the world tomorrow to be better than it is today. Then that's what I want. That we have all the information that we could possibly gather, do it in a way that is beneficial to the folks that are part of the work that we do, and use that to better. That could be transportation, that could be accommodations, that could be housing, that could be jobs, that could be activities of daily living. I mean, the spectrum there is really, really big. And I also believe that for whoever is listening to this podcast, whether that be an individual mom and dad that just realized that their son or daughter was diagnosed with something, that there's a resource. Didlake is here. If someone's looking for a job and they came out of the military, there are places like Didlake. Didlake exists to help them find jobs and to be empowered with that. And I guess the last thing is that Didlake is incredibly well positioned to take risks because we have had 60 years of proof of concept, in which both fiscally, financially, our structure is set up right now to really be a leader in the communities that we're in. And so I want to partner with anybody and everybody that wants to be a part of that, starting with veterans, going to folks that might be in pre-employment transition services in high schools, to folks that are trying to figure out how to do housing and Social Security and Medicaid, right? I mean, again, the spectrum is so big, but Didlake is a proof that we can be a successful federal contractor, a successful state contractor, successful job coach placement, successful rehab services day in, day out, and that people with disabilities can be empowered because there is a Didlake.
And we're just getting started. 60 years,
60
but
years?
we're just getting started. This is a new era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what that new era looks like as we go.
So you've been at the organization since October of 2023, right?
That's right, yeah.
So still relatively new, right?
It depends on who I talk to. Some people don't say I can't say I'm new anymore.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I started in May of 2023, so I'd still consider myself relatively new, which is why I give you the pass.
Okay.
But starting out, what would be your highlights so far of being at an organization like this?
Oh, so there's so many. I didn't grow up in the DMV area, so I still get goosebumps when I drive into DC. I do.
No.
And so when I see the history and knowing that Didlake right now, there are people in really important federal buildings doing really important work. That is, I kind of pinch myself because I get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
What I didn't share earlier about my boys, they have biblical first names, but they have founding father middle names. Like that is, so American history is kind of tied up in who I and how I identify myself. And so, so the very first time, I went to some of those kind of high profile places, sticks out as a big memory for me, and to kind of highlight and to say, oh man, we're right in it.
Yeah.
Like, and we're doing it. Another one, we have, a number of day program sites. And one, when I first got here, one was decorated to the brim for Halloween. I mean, it was like a haunted house in the best kind of way, like cheesy, wonderful haunted house. And everybody there was so excited to be a part of it. It was they were having a party. And so, that's a highlight that I think about in the first couple of weeks that I was there. And then they're just every week there's something new that I'm learning. I'm like, oh, I didn't know how we did that and how we're doing that. And then there's something that is that I remember, the kind of the history of Didlake over and over and over again. Again, started by understanding as a newspaper ad, and turning into a pretty large organization.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Paul. I really appreciate it.
What's been your favorite?
Oh my gosh, my favorite. Hold on, I have to think about that for a minute. I think that within my role, my favorite part about being at Didlake is that you get to speak to so many incredible people. And I got to interview somebody, and she is actually working at Wegmans now. She works as like a cookie decorator.
Okay.
The absolute sweetest, most incredible person. Yes. Yeah. And from the looks of it, they look delicious. Okay. But it was just like her being able to, so she was a Project Search student, and her being able to tell me how impactful it was to be a part of that program and how they helped her get that perfect job at Wegmans, which she loves doing. She enjoys that. And it's just like little things like that really just make you understand why this work is so valuable. Yeah. And I don't know, it just makes you happy, Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then, that's funny that you and I have those, like, that spectrums, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these really high profile places and this like really grounded work.
Yeah.
And Didlake does it all for that. And
exactly.
So, it could be the most highly expert job in which we are, a great partner for the government to do. And then we also provide services for folks that want to follow their dream in baking.
Exactly.
So,
there's
it's
something
win-win.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Paul. I really enjoyed speaking to you today.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. I think I'm supposed to say that. And I'm excited about this podcast, the Didlake Difference, but I'm excited about the opportunity for us to be sharing what Didlake is doing and how to really make that difference down the road. And so thank you for what all you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out Didlake's website at didlake.org to learn more about services offered and how to get involved. Be sure to subscribe to the Didlake Difference podcast and follow Didlake on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram for updates and inspiring stories.